Have you ever felt like you're stuck on a hamster wheel with burnout? You take a break, you get a new planner, you swear this time will be different, and then boom, a few weeks later, you are right back in that same exhausted, overwhelmed place. It's so frustrating. But what if the problem isn't you? What if it's the very pattern you're running on?
Okay, so what if I told you we've been looking at this whole burnout thing completely wrong? The real issue, according to our source for today's explainer, isn't about your willpower or how organized your to-do list is. Nope, it's something much, much deeper that's running in the background.
See, on one side, you've got what we always blame, right? I'm not disciplined enough. I didn't hustle hard enough. We put all that pressure on ourselves. But this perspective just flips that on its head. The real culprit isn't a lack of trying, it's a familiar rhythm.
So what is this burnout rhythm? Well, think of it like this. It's a pattern that your body has gotten so used to that it feels normal. It feels predictable. And because it's predictable, your nervous system registers it as safe, even when it's totally draining you and killing your joy. This isn't about you being lazy. This is straight up neuroscience.
And I really want to hammer this point home because it's a huge mindset shift. This has absolutely nothing to do with being lazy or having a lack of character.
We repeat these cycles simply because they are known. They're familiar. It's like that route you take home from work every single day. You don't even have to think about it. Your body just does it automatically.
And because it's so well known, it feels predictable. There are no surprises. Your brain knows exactly what's coming. The stress, the overwhelm, and yeah, even the eventual crash. And here's the absolute kicker. To your nervous system, that predictability feels safe. Isn't that wild? Your brain would literally rather deal with a familiar misery that it understands than risk the total unknown of trying something new, even if that new thing could be way better. It's a survival instinct that's just not serving us anymore. This really says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that internal tug of war. Your conscious mind, your soul, is screaming for a change, but that deep automatic part of your brain just keeps pulling you back to what it knows because that's the only tune it's been taught to play. Okay. So that leads to the million-dollar question. If we're literally fighting against our own brain's wiring for safety, how in the world do we break free? Where do you possibly start?
Well, I can tell you where the answer isn't. It's not in buying another planner or creating another rigid routine or piling on more rules for yourself. Honestly, that stuff usually just adds more pressure and feeds right back into the burnout cycle.
The real power, the real game changer, is learning to notice that tiny little moment, that little fork in the road, right before you go on autopilot and slide down that same old burnout path. So how do you spot that moment? You have to learn to listen to your body's whispers. You know that feeling? That subtle tension in your shoulders, that tightening in your chest, that little internal sigh that says, here we go again. That's it. That's the signal. Right there. That feeling, that is your moment. That is your window of opportunity. It might only last for a second, but that is where all your power is. And in that tiny window, you don't need a massive, complicated plan. All you need is a 5-second interruption. Seriously, it can be as simple as just standing up, shaking out your hands, taking one deep, conscious breath, walking into a different room, or even just saying to yourself, nope, we're not doing this today. So why does something so simple work? Because movement is the fastest way to change your physical and emotional state. You can't just think your way out of a nervous system pattern, but you can move your way out of it. It sends a jolt to your brain that says, hey, something new is happening here. And honestly, isn't that a huge relief? The pressure is off, you don't have to blow up your whole life and start from scratch tomorrow. It all starts with just one tiny, deliberate choice to rebel against that old, tired rhythm. And then, the next time you feel that whisper, you do it again. And again. You do it on purpose. Every little interruption is like casting a vote for a new way of living. And what happens over time is you are literally retraining your brain. With every interruption, your nervous system starts to get the message. Oh, okay, the old burnout pattern isn't our default anymore. You're creating a new normal. A new safe place that actually feels good. And the end result of all this is a real fundamental shift. You're not just managing burnout anymore, you are actually moving through your life with a totally different energy, a whole new rhythm. So, to wrap it all up, Escaping that burnout trap doesn't happen by forcing things or hustling harder. It begins with awareness. It's powered by that tiny little interruption. And it's built one small, bold move at a time. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. The next time you feel that familiar tension, that whisper of overwhelm starting to creep in, what's the one simple 5-second interruption you can choose to make? Because that's where your new rhythm begins.